button. Push the goddamn button.
I'm gonna try to do this without getting in trouble with YouTube guidelines. You know, the copyright stuff. I got a woman here, man. She's sounding off on Lisa Raye. Then there's other people on social media that had some words for it. I'm just chiming in, giving my 2 cents, of course, but this is why people are kind of on the fence about this right here. Just so I don't get in trouble for playing the music, this right here, that right there caused a whole lot of.
Now, Miss Ma'am, here. Now, you dancing to Young Miami Spin That in a rather risque swimsuit, going against everything that you try to say about the women in my generation. Do y'all remember just last year where she said that the women in our generation and younger, like she come for us 24/7. We don't do nothing but mind our business. This is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. Now, you say that the women in my generation are hoes. They need to have more respect for themselves. Ain't you tooting and fluting around in a bathing suit with your cheeks out, dancing to a song about scheming and scamming? The joke writes itself at that point. And the reason I keep saying that is because a lot of this is laughable. Y'all are the grandmas. You supposed to be giving us something to look up to, something to respect, and you fluting and flintangling your ass around with your cheeks hanging out. We supposed to respect you? I don't think so. This is why I say, you know, a lot of the women from the 90s are older tricks. That's all they are. You can't buy class. They're millionaires, but you can't take that trick behavior out of them. I don't mean trick as in spend money. I mean trick as in the bird mindset. The nerve of you at your age to always go in on my generation. When we become grandmas, we ain't gonna do none of what you doing. You a mother, you a grandmother. Okay. Your grandchild could possibly be made fun of for that. And then you wonder why you single at your age. You talk about this and that. You make fun of men that don't make as much money as you. Well, at the end of the day, those men rarely are ever single. Here you are all these years later, you still not married. Every marriage that you was in failed. That says something about you as a woman. You need not worry about what the hell we doing in our generation because we're a lot more married off than your generation. Okay? Be a grandma and stop getting in business that is 10, 20, 30, and 40 years younger than you. I'm so thankful that my grandma and y'all grandmas are not online embarrassing us the way she embarrassed her grandchild. So very thankful for it.
I have to challenge that last little portion. I'm sorry. Give me a second here, please. You said that this generation is getting more married compared to the 90s and the women of the 90s. Well, let's do the math. In 2024, U.S. adults were less likely to be married than at almost any point since the Census Bureau began tracking marital status in 1940. Fewer people are marrying and they're doing it later. Both men and women are older when they first tie the knot. Most unmarried people have never been married rather than divorced or widowed, although divorces have risen. The share of men and women who are widowed, the smallest group of unmarried Americans, has dropped. So, what percent of Americans are married? Well, let's take a look at this. Yes, I'm being petty. In 2024, 47.1% of households were headed by married couples, the second lowest share since 2022's all-time low of 46.8%. Now, if you take a gander at this graph right here, we will put this to bed with her statement. Households headed by married couples in 2020s are lowest ever recorded in the U.S. So your statement was, ma'am, that you're having more successful relationships and marriages right now in your generation compared to back then? Is that what I heard? Well, this chart suggests otherwise. If I'm looking at this correctly, in 1949, the highest marriage rate was at 78.8%. Now, as you look from the 40s going down to the late 20s, 2020, 22 being at 46.8 as the lowest marriage rate. So, your argument there, you shouldn't have even opened your mouth and said that. But that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to point that out because, yeah, sometimes we just say stuff we shouldn't say. Now, as far as Lisa Raye being her age, dancing to this secular music that really doesn't do anything to highlight Black people or the culture in a positive way, I agree with a lot of what you said. I truly believe that someone her age and of her status should have already been married, should be leading by example, and should not be supporting or advocating for the level of content that is being mass produced daily to our eyes and ears from every age group that is apprehensive to the content itself. I just now too long ago said that that song is not healthy. It's not spiritually healthy or anything. But what you gonna do, right? Dancing to music, there's no harm in that. Y'all, my parents, grandparents, they went to cabarets and all that. So there's no issue with dancing to music. The problem is when you're a certain age dancing to music that you should know through wisdom and experience should not be supported. You're dancing to something that suggests that it's okay to scam people. It's okay to go after a certain demographic of men based off of these affixed attires. That's the problem. And you're pushing 60, 50 years old. You still look good for your age. Some stuff needs to be covered up. But, 2026 people are trying to rewrite history. So it's okay for you to be on Instagram with your ass out and all that. It's nothing wrong with showing your body off and giving off the impression that you should be a gold digger or you should overly give yourself away to the naked eye, tempting men and women all across the world to stumble and fall into sin. And no, we don't have those type of conversations on the internet. You're boring and you're corny for talking about stuff like that. Nobody is perfect. How dare you bring that up? That's not happening on this side. I agree with that part. I don't like the double standard hypocrisy stuff. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. You too old to be still moving like that. Keep that private in your house. You want to be seen. You still want to live your glory days. You still want the men and the individuals that make 40,000 a year to fawn over you and still make you feel young and youthful, even though you absolutely have no intentions on giving none of them people a shot or a chance whatsoever. You just want to eat up the attention and validation. So depending on how you look at this, yes, She's just apparently dancing and she's not really hurting no one. But if you are one of those adults or children who think that she's a hero and you look up to her, then she actually has some level of control over you. She can say things and then it matters to you because she said it. And if she has that type of power, that is a problem. But I mean, I digress. Y'all do what y'all want. I ain't got and I don't gross 20, 30 million a year. So even if I did, I wouldn't even try to go down that road. She done had all of these different relationships and none of them worked out. I'm not going to talk about that part, but to be still moving and acting like that at that age, you're not as grown as you think you are. Just because you have money, that don't mean that you're necessarily fully grown. Because the things that you ignore in terms of responsibility, you're just as juvenile as someone who is 15 and 16. You think I'm rambling and BSing. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. I ain't gonna say nothing else. Do you find anything wrong with her dancing to that music or how she's dressed or anything that woman said in that clip?